Welcome, everybody, to the first ever installment of the Golden Podcast. My name is Ken, and I am the host of the Ikwan Nastahab, or the Brethren of Golden English. In today's video, or in today's rendition of a podcast, we have our first ever guest. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who is
Yippee!
yippee indeed. You know what I'm saying? So somebody who's actually been following me on TikTok for since probably like the beginning of my journey on TikTok.
Oh
When I
yeah.
was uploading back in 2022, and then when I came back in 2025, he was just so happened to recognize me. So the lesson already I'm instilling into you guys for today's podcast is that the small gestures that people make towards you in life, it'll pay back to you in some way, shape, or form. The way I see it is that this is me um using my platform for good and helping a brother out in terms of getting his name out there. So this is Josiah Trismegistus. He is a well, I guess I shouldn't say who he is. I think he has a good a shot at telling him the crowd like who he is. So why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about yourself, bro?
Okay, so I believe I'm on the podcast because I'm also a Muslim occultist, or I call myself a Muslim magician more so. Um, I do aura readings on TikTok and Akashic readings sometimes. I also make music a little bit. That's a big passion of mine is music. I see God working through music a lot. That's a big thing. I'm also with my readings. I don't want to go too much on and promote that, but a little bit about me, as I'm very in tune with like animals. Like I see, like a lot of my spirituality revolves around like spirit animals, things of that nature. Um, yeah, that's a bit about me. Also, I'm from Indiana. I don't know if there's any Hoosiers out there, but that's where I grew up. So it's kind of difficult, like being being such a diverse spiritual individual and growing up in the Hicks. So
So, from what we talked about in like a one-on-one conversation, you said that you had a Christian upbringing. How was the
yeah,
process of like growing out of that phase into like a spiritual kind of context, because we talked a little bit about how both of us struggled with like an identity crisis a little bit. So could you like
oh yeah,
possibly like go into a little bit more detail about like what getting into that headspace was like now that you kind of crossed over?
yeah. So for me, I started my awakening very young, like you did, Kenny. I started my awakening when I was about 16. That's when I started like having more experiences, a little more in depth. When I was a kid, I've always kind of known I had some kind of psychic sense because as a kid, like I'd have dreams where I could teleport. I'd have dreams about like poltergeists and like really supernatural stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like things people would call jinns. I had like a lot of those experiences as a kid. Sometimes like a lot of it revolved around sleep, so that's a bit about that. And when I was 15, I started developing a really bad anxiety, like really horrible anxiety. I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder when I was 12, and religious trauma played a lot into that because I would, if I touched, God forbid I touch a door handle the wrong way, like I had this weird OCD where if I touch a doorknob the wrong way, if I don't shoot a basketball hoop right, I would go to hell and that would be it. And then when
Oh.
I was 15, I started realizing, like, I looked up those kind of thoughts and then I realized I was OCD. And I was previously diagnosed with that. And so I started, like, do you know who Infinite Waters Diving Deep is? That guy?
I know a little bit about Infinite Waters, yeah, but you
Yeah,
could
so
fill me
that's the
in.
guy that really catapulted my spiritual awakening because
Okay.
he taught me about meditation, and so I was still a Christian at the time, like very fundy, and I started trying to implement the two. I remember I got this book. I can't think of the exact name, but it was blending Buddhism and Christianity together. Like it was about how like Buddhism could make you a better Christian, and that was kind of my segue out of it. That was my segue out of it was that exact book, and I started meditating, and that's how I got more conscious. Islam is a different story than that.
hmm One thing I want to segue into about was you mentioned mental health, and I remember you saying that this is something you wanted me to bring up in the podcast too. So
Oh yeah,
as you know, I have a video explaining my experiences of schizophrenia and psychosis, and you told me that you have. I didn't know. I actually didn't know the part about you having OCD, but I remember you saying that you have a sort of bipolar kind of condition.
yeah. I was diagnosed. I'm kind of in the loony bin, you could say, because I have autism, PTSD, bipolar, and the with the bipolar, I don't have schizophrenia, but what I have is called schizoaffective. So if you don't know what bipolar is, it's basically where you have mood swings and um, more so than other people.
Mm-hmm.
I could have rapid mood swings in a day. Like I could go from like extremely happy, like feeling like I won the lottery to oh my gosh, I want to jump off a bridge. Not like that would actually happen, but just the feeling of it. And
Yeah, I get that.
so I what schizoaffective is basically you could probably explain it better than I could, but I haven't had much experience with that. I have had experiences when I was first diagnosed with bipolar where I would feel like I'm the highest individual in the room. Nothing could stop me. Um, I feel like I had brute force. Like I'd have delusions too. Like I had a really embarrassing delusion that I was like the messiah of Earth, and I thought I was here to save people. But I haven't had a relapse with that kind of mental health since I was like early 20s, like
Okay.
20.
Okay, yeah. Oh, interesting. So it kind of cut off for you in your late teens, and you kind of like fixed up with it by the time you reached the new decade, is what I'm trying to get at, right?
Yeah, yeah. When I was like last year is when I really started healing. I kind of abused alcohol for a little bit when I was 21 because I was really depressed,
Oh,
and I'm 2 years sober now. So that
good
has
for you,
helped my
man.
mental health a lot. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Um, I think I could segue into something too, into a certain degree, before we get into the spiritual stuff. Because I want to talk about some real stuff, ground ourselves a little bit in reality before we talk about the more spaced out topics.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, what as somebody who struggles with sobriety themselves, like what has been like a grounding factor for you in the face of sobriety? Because the issue is that people just say, "Oh, we must escape these things," right? But the thing is
Yeah,
that those things have become accustomed to our escape. So it's kind of like a matrixy situation where you're escaping an escape, right? So it's like,
yeah.
how do you find the escape from the escape is the million
So
dollar
for
scoop.
me, I feel like God kind of woke me up because I did a lot of things I cannot talk about on this podcast. Um, I got laced. I got laced a few times. My marijuana got laced, and
Oh, damn.
um, yeah, I it was really bad. Like it, I can't say what it was laced with, but it was horrible. Like I was seeing like shadow people. Like so, you can put the two and two together,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
I probably I'm not gonna say it out loud, but damn, that's
yeah,
fucking crazy.
it's
I've
probably
only
not
heard like
good.
songs of people doing that, of people getting laced with that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was horrible, and so I kept smoking it, and then finally one day God just kind of opened up my eyes, and one day I just completely cut off alcohol, completely cut off weed, because I got really sick and was gonna end my life that day,
Oh
and
wow.
I started over drinking and stuff, and after that day, after like I was still alive, I was like, okay, God wants me here for a reason. I can't do this anymore, and so I just completely cut off alcohol that day, completely cut off weed, and I've been going strong ever since. I do drink in moderations at times, like my brother's wedding, I had a little bit of alcohol, or that was really it.
Okay. Would you ever do alcohol at like a Eucharistic rite, like a Gnostic mass
Like,
or
um,
like a mass or stuff like that?
I like not really. It's something I do my best to abstain from just because my past with addictive personalities. So
Yeah,
I try to
I
abstain
mean,
from
but
it.
would you say that in a ceremonial context is different?
Like, would it be like kind of like a communion cup, or would
Yeah,
it
yeah,
be
yeah.
like
Like in the Gnostic Mass, they have like the cake of light and
like
the
if
communion wine. Yeah.
if it wasn't enough to get me drunk, like if it was
Oh
like
no,
I could still like if I could drive like right after, yeah, I'd do that. Yeah, if it's for like consciousness, yeah.
that's bust, bro. That's bust. Yeah. Um, I guess we can go into a little bit of like spiritual stuff now because I mentioned the sacrament in the Christian and Gnostic faith. Uh, what are the importance of sacraments like to you? You know what I'm saying? Like what kind of sacramental practices do you keep that are like, these rituals keep me in union with my highest good or highest self and stuff like that. Like for me the sacraments consist of salah, the middle
Yeah,
pillar, um, a little bit of dhikr. Actually, more like ruqya. I don't really do dhikr. That's why I don't consider myself too much of a Sufi. I don't really chant dhikr. But what I do is I do
yeah,
ruqya. So ruqya is a part of my sacraments. Um, yeah. So like, but like, I make sure that salah is like a main sacramental kind of foundation to my practice, and uh,
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, so it's like and this is something I always like to spread to all different Islamic practitioners, you know what I'm saying, is that um
Right.
we can definitely agree that Salah is most likely not a like as an esoteric Muslim, I wouldn't see how this performance of a ritual would be a foundation for salvation, like or for universal salvation. I can't see why that would be the case. You know what I'm saying? Uh but
Yeah,
but in terms of like being in an Islamic body of practice, I would definitely agree with the staunchest Orthodox Muslims that if you are passing through, or if you are what's it called, repping an Islamic body of practice, that keeping the sacraments is like it's pretty important in regards of like underst like just like I'm not like I don't use hadiths, but like it's supported in hadiths that these sacraments are what distinguishes us from just any other person who could say this, that, and the third, right? So it's like, but I understand that
right.
having a different set and regimen of sacraments, possibly based off of different things, can maybe work. So that's why I want to like open a dialogue with you, like what kind of sacraments are kind of like a key part of like your practice.
Yeah, so I do my best to practice the law every day, 5 times a day. Um, at first it was really difficult just because my family is like super Christian and um it was really hard at first, but I've been more consistent with Salah. So after I do Salah, I usually practice the lesser being banishing ritual, the pentagram, if you know what that
Yeah,
is.
LBRP. Yeah, we've covered the
Yeah.
LBRP in this channel before. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll practice that. I try and meditate at least once a day. When I meditate, I'll usually practice dhikr before. Um, so I kind of interchange between the dhikr and kirtan. It depends who I'm doing it with. If I'm by myself, I'll do dhikr, but I have a couple really good friends that practice kirtan, so sometimes I'll practice that with them, and it's kind of interesting because I've introduced them to the dhikr of La ilaha illallah, and they're both Hindus, and they love it. They love that mantra.
Yeah, because in the Naqshbandi Sufi tradition, that deals with the sphere of purity, and
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
again, like, not to use sunnah because it's like I'm I don't use hadiths, but I'll use hadiths as like a tertiary kind of like proof that even in a tertiary source like hadiths, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is claimed to have said that if you say La ilaha illallah, you enter heaven. And a lot of people took it as, oh, if we live by this creed or if we say this creed, then we gain salvation. But it's no, that's not what it means. It means that when you chant this mantra, you are entering into the gates of paradise. And that's like
Right.
that comes from again like a famous kind of sunnah tradition where it says that when you enter into the circles of paradise, eat from the grass that is served there. And they asked him like, what are the circles of paradise? And he said, circles of dhikr, circles of remembrance. So
Mhm.
yeah. So creating your own dhikr circle, I think is very powerful. May I recommend, right? If you're going Golden Dawn route, a good place to consecrate a dhikr circle is move counter. If you're trying to invoke something, you're gonna go clockwise. If you're gonna
Hmm.
try to banish something, if you're trying to like repel energy with your dhikr, you're gonna go counterclockwise and burn frankincense and sprinkle holy water
So you just
around.
kind of like you can do that by yourself, just like walk in a circle.
Yeah, walk in a circle. Yeah, make you create a
I
magic
never thought about that. I
create a
usually
create a magic circle. Yeah.
I'm gonna
This
try
this is
that.
this is good. This is good for practicing the LBRP in the circle. It's good for chanting
Oh,
dhikrs across the circle and stuff like that. To make the holy water, if you're a Muslim, I would recommend reading Surah Fatiha 7 times over.
okay, that's really interesting. We have to try that because I usually just practice a dhikr like this, or I'll lay down and listen to some dhikr and close my eyes.
Yeah, I'm working on a syncretic LRH, lesser ritual of the hexagram, using Surah Ikhlas and the five main dhikrs, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, and La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It's gonna be utilizing Crowley's Liber Arita.
Mm,
Yeah, so I'm gonna be like constructing like an Islamic like hexagram ritual, using Arita, Liber Arita and stuff like that. So, um,
nice.
yeah, it's uh, so that in I'm just kind of pulling from like intuitively with the questions and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
You're good.
I don't have like a script. I have a script, but I want to go kind of like based off the vibes too. So it's like
Yeah.
as you can see, like what I'm recommending to you is I'm recommending like kind of mixing together like neo-hermetic sacraments within like a Islamic framework. So it's like I wonder like where have like for me like what I do is like after every salah I practice the middle pillar. You know, like Eheye, Yod He Vafe Elohim, Yod He Vafe Elo Avideya Shaddai Achai,
Yeah.
and then Adonai Haaretz. So I practice the middle pillar after every salah ritual, and it's almost like a completion of the sacrament. It's a completion of it's also most importantly what I do instead of sunnah salah too. For me, that is my sunnah, the sunnah of Hermes Trismegistus and the sunnah of the Kabbalistic way and stuff like that, right? So it's
Right.
like uh so obviously like um that's why I'm not gonna lie. I came here with a little agenda, bro. I came here to have you be a part of the Ikhwan Istihab or a part of the Islamic Hermetic way, because Sufis the catch with it is that um if you are a Sufi, you have one of the main doors of opening that is tariqa, which is like a order, like a scholarly order or lineage.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like so within like the Islamic mystic paradigm that gets like I guess like distinguished as it kind of gets umbrella termed as Sufi. You have like the Islamic mystics that are still very much still subscribed to orthodoxy and very
Yeah.
much still subscribed to the orthodox. But then you have the more esoteric that are that branch away from Sunniism and Shiaism, but the but what I try to get people into Islamic Hermeticism for is because it has the historical basis, because in the what's it called, in the Umayyad Caliphate, you had Ibn Yazid, who was a prince of the Umayyad dynasty, and he was the
Mhm.
prince to he was a younger brother of the soon to be Sultan Muawiyah II. And Ibn Yazid basically, like, how do I say this? He had the chance for sovereignty, but he rejected it to practice alchemy. He became like an
Yeah,
alchemist, and a lot of like Islamic Hermetic throughout history, like Jabir bin Hayyan, Senior Zadif, or Muhammad ibn Umayl, and I think to a certain extent even Thabit ibn Qura, maybe to a certain degree, or the people who revitalized the Sir al Asrar, they claim like they're passing down of from Ibn Yazid and stuff like that. So it's like I'm basically come here to let people know that there is a historical basis in Islamic esotericism, but it's
oh yeah,
important. Yeah, but it's important to know, like, how do I say this? It's important to know, like, what blanks we're filling in. That's why my question comes into play, right? So it's like there's a lot of blanks in this history. You know what I'm saying? There's like a lot of
yeah,
blanks in this history, and what this kind of leaves us open to is it leaves us open to filling in the blanks with not necessarily whatever we want to, but with things that fit within a sort of frequency or frequent paradigm that can fit that kind of cycle. So
yeah.
that kind of blank. So like for me, I use Golden Dawn stuff to fill in the blanks of all of the different of the timelines of that. So my question to you, sorry, I'm gonna land this plane real quick, but what kind of blanks do you what kind of fills do you use to fill in the blanks of this kind of lost history and stuff like that? Like, do you use like Bardon? Do you use I saw you said you use the LBRP, Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. So what extent do you use like what's it called, Golden Dawn stuff? And also I'm familiar with using the more neo universalist Sufism. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
like I like to know like how you kind of fit that all in together, if
Yeah,
that
to
makes
be
sense.
honest, so I don't know much about the Golden Dawn. I know a little bit about Crowley and Thelema, but not to the extent that you know. And with Universal Sufism is very lenient. A good guy to look into for the people watching this is Hazrat Inyat Khan. With Universal Sufism, basically it's bridge. It's basically saying we have more in common than we don't have in common. It's kind of like, you ever heard of the term omniism?
Ominism, yeah. Look, it's just
So
the
it's
Inayat
basically
Khan
like
book.
the Sufi version of omniism.
Yeah, it's a
A
It's a
lot of
Sufi.
universal Sufis still praise Allah. That's kind of how I see it. Like, I still praise the law, but I do other things that universal Sufis do, if that makes sense. Like, I work with different devas, you could say devas. I don't know really how to word it, but I see every divine being as an extension of Allah, if that makes sense. Like, there's 99 attributes of Allah, and one of them is infinite. So why could God not manifest in somebody as Krishna? If, let's say, there's somebody on an island, right?
Yeah.
And they've never got like a Bible or a Quran, but they know about like some, like, I don't know. Let's use Krishna as an example. Um, what makes their path less worthy than our path? And that's kind of how I see universal Sufism, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Um, for sure. Um, so how do you use this universalist view of like, okay, like, so I can see God in all these different forms of
Yeah,
existence. How do you use that like mindset to like, I guess, like, fit it within like an Islamic paradigm, right? Because like for me, right, I always like answer the question of like, oh, like, well, in the Quran it says that if you come to well, if you on the day of judgment, if you go to God to religion other than Islam, He's gonna reject it. I always tell people that you are fitting a man-made idea on what constitutes Islam in the Quran, basically. And so it's like
Yeah.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about when they say like, oh, God only accepts Islam, and it says that in the Quran. It's like, well, what the Quran defines as Islam is not actually what modern r- day has defined as Islam. For me, Islam is not a set of religious values. It's not a set of religious dogmas. It's a mindset, and that's exactly why it says that once you, and that's exactly why it says in the Quran, once you accept Islam, you can no longer go back and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Because once you adopt that mindset, no matter how much you can try to pretend like you can go back to normal, you can't. You know what I'm saying? You've
Yeah.
looked past the veil. You've seen, you've seen that there's nothing, the La ilaha. You've seen there's nothing else but God,
Yeah.
ultimately
Yeah.
beyond the veil. And you see, and then you acknowledge like the Muhammadian like rope that leads God to you and stuff like that, which um
Yeah.
has loaded implications a little bit, but
You're good.
but
So what's the essence of the question if I can
the
ask?
essence of the question, okay, the essence of the question basically, we're just kind of having a little back and forth conversation. It doesn't have to always consist of questions, but the essence of the question is that just like how I will use Golden Dawn exercises to like kind of actualize more of my Islamic sacraments. What has your universalist Sufi views aided you in terms of like syncretic practices? Like how has your universalist Sufi
Okay.
view like aided you? Like what have you added on that has like made it so it's like wow, this isn't I like the goal isn't to see it as a other practice that's alien to Islam. The goal is to see it as a fulfillment of the Islamic sacrament,
Yeah.
right?
So see it kind of as like a bonus. So basically, like kind of seeing it as a bonus, but it bridges the gap together. Is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
but bridges the gap together. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm not an ordained shaman or anything, but I'm very, very inspired by shamanism.
Okay. Um, what aspects of shamanism is spoken of? Like the animistic parts of it?
Yeah, yeah. Usually like the spirit animals, the drumming, working with nature, and definitely animism, like seeing God within every living creature. There is a Sufi name for that called I think
Al
Wada
Al Al Khidr?
Wada al Wujud. You ever heard of that?
Wahdat al Wujud. Yeah, that's the unity of essence or the unity of being. That's Ibn Arabi's monistic take. That's not really pantheistic. I get what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
that idea of Wahdat al Wujud being like a form of pantheism or panentheism is actually taken a lot from Ibn Arabi's like polemicists, like
Okay.
people who like spoke against him. They were like categorizing it as a form of pantheism, but it's not. It's a form of monism, actually.
Okay.
And there is a bit of distinctions between monism and pantheism.
Mm.
But and that's what I'm saying. Like funny enough, I think in some weird alternate timeline, you'd be in more of my paradigm and I'd be in more of your paradigm because universalist Sufis, at the very least, have some sort of monistic paradigm or some sort of universalist Sufis kind of tend towards monism more, but you're more you strike me more as a pantheist. You know what I'm
Yeah, a
saying?
little bit. Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
you
see
strike me
that.
as a pantheist, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
I can see that.
Hermeticism is way more accepting towards pantheism than universal Sufism. Hermeticism, because you have
Yeah.
pantheism, you have a sense of all different theological premises
Yeah, I've read the Corpus
in the corpus.
Hermetica
Yeah.
quite a bit. For me personally, it's hard for me to just prescribe to one spiritual doctrine. Uh,
Yeah.
I've kind of thought about like reading more about Helena Blavatsky if I was like to devote to one tradition. Like theosophy really interests me. Like Rudolf Steiner, people
Okay.
like that really interest me.
Okay, theosophy. So I went the more Philim. Oh, so wow, I'm seeing a lot of opposite kind of paradigms in our
I
case.
know.
I
I
went more
blend a lot of
Philema. You
things
went more
together.
theosophy. Yo, Thelemites and theosophists really don't like each other, eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. they're kind of they can get along, but yo, Theosophists and Thelemites, like yo,
They got beef.
they got beef, bro. That's funny, bro. But that's great because it's like I'm somewhat of a Thelemite aspirant myself. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I've interacted with Thelemite mysteries. This in 3 days I'm gonna be on the Toronto Thelema podcast.
Oh,
Um,
with who?
with Darren from the Toronto Thelema.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Thelema is more like do what thou will.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Okay, maybe I have a misconception about it.
Yeah, that's like a sensationalized version of the Lima, I'd find. That's like, oh, it's all about just doing whatever you feel like doing and stuff like that. Like, no, no, no. When you look at how Crowley contextualized the will, it had everything to do with having some sort of magical practice or some sort of magical way and stuff like that, and some
Yeah,
having some sort of like,
I know a little bit about Thelema, not too much. Like I know about like the Holy Guardian Angel
yeah,
and
the
things
HGA,
like that.
crossing the
I
abyss.
yeah, I've read a little bit of Crowley's work. I can't remember what book I read. Is is the Labor or something?
That's all of his books. All of his books are Libra something.
I remember reading like listening to an audiobook of it at work one time, and it was really hard to understand.
Yeah,
It
Crowley's
felt
work
very
can be very
psychedelic.
yeah, Crowley's work can be pretty labyrinthian, man.
It felt
That
psychedelic.
Yeah, his works can be very fucking labyrinthian. And I haven't really gone to Blavatsky because it's like I don't get the okay. Maybe this isn't like a proper excuse, but I'm so deep in the Crowley, I don't think I get the good vibes from Blavatsky and stuff like that.
No,
Like, nah, I don't get good vibes from her at all. Also, I've heard some strange like allegations about her, and like although there's very strange allegations that surround Crowley, for some reason I bought more into the negative press about Blavatsky than I did about Crowley. And
yeah.
also, I I I have a few friends who like hype the fuck out of her, and that makes me and that pushes me away from her even more because I'm like,
Yeah,
bro, I don't hype the hell out of Crowley. You know, it's funny. I. I try to steer away from a Thelemite title, but people keep coming me for fucking Thelema stuff, bro. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like people come to me.
I'm not a Helena Blavatsky. Uh,
Glazer.
yeah, I don't even know much about her. I'm just saying like if I was to prescribe to a doctrine similar to like Thelema or Golden Dawn, I'd probably
You probably pick
choose
Theosophy, eh?
I'd probably choose Theosophy, but I like to kind of cherry pick, which I know is frowned upon. Like whatever practice.
Honestly, Honestly, fam, like I don't have an issue of cherry picking. I have an issue of cherry picking without a solid criteria on why you're cherry picking or
Yeah,
what you're cherry picking. If you cherry pick just whatever makes you whatever you want, like I can see that as a problem. But the truth
yeah.
is, like Christianity is built on cherry picking, bro.
I know,
The
man.
church tradition is literally this law in the Old Testament is ceremonial. This law in the Old Testament is moral. Like, who gets to pick that? That's you cherry picking, bro.
I know.
Like,
It's annoying.
honestly, the issue to me is not cherry picking. The issue to me is cherry picking with a bad criteria on why you're cherry picking. So honestly, as long as you have a solid foundation, a solid precept as to what you're distinguishing from, I
Yeah.
don't really see too much of an issue. We all cherry pick things to a certain degree, right? You know what I'm saying?
I just
No.
see that as like discernment. It's hard for me to just follow like one doctrine because like, okay, so the reason I would never join like a Freemason organization or anything is because I'm such a rule breaker. I gotta be completely honest. I'm such a rule breaker.
Oh
And
yeah,
like,
true.
following one master, like that would drive me nuts. Like I like to learn things the hard way, and I like to get beaten up a little bit on the path. And I have gotten burned spiritually before. I have gotten burned spiritually, but it's made me stronger. You know.
I get what you're saying, bro. Have you tried looking into chaos magic by any chance?
I would consider myself more of a chaos magician than anything.
Wow. Why is that
I
such a popular stance in today's atmosphere?
I
Gee, I
craft
wonder
everything
why.
because I grew up Christian. and going in a Christian household, I couldn't really buy like altars and stuff. So I still make like a lot of my items. Like I make most of my items I make, or um, I like to craft things because I believe the divine wants you to express itself, if that makes sense. Like I don't like buying artificial things. I don't have a problem with that. Like I buy a lot of crystals, but that's why I consider myself more like a chaos magician.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, man. Um,
And I blend a lot of different things together, and I've heard chaos magicians do that. Like
eclecticism.
it, yeah, eclectic. That's the word I'm looking for. Plus, whatever it is.
Whatever it is my favorite word too, bro.
Yeah, yeah, whatever it is. Like eclectic, I'd say I'm very eclectic. That's pretty much how I am. And I have worked with the Goetia before, but that's
Oh
not something
shoot! Yo, 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 yo! I got something cool for you, bro. I gotta just take off
I
my
don't
background.
work with them anymore. Just it kind of it was a tower moment too quick, if that makes sense. I had too many tower moments
Too many tower moments, eh?
that were not working to my favor.
Let's see. Let me just take off the background. Uh, yeah, bro. Look, I just drew this recently.
Oh wow. Which one is that?
That's Gremory.
Memory? Okay. I had a dream about Grimoire like a couple years back when I was working with the Goetia, but I never really reached out. Um, the ones I worked with was Lilith, um, kind of Asmodeus. That was a very short phase. Um, I'm trying. What's you ever see the movie Hereditary?
No, I don't watch movies.
Okay, me neither. But I've seen that movie. Some kind of guide from that I worked with. I can't think of the name though, but my main one that I've worked with like for years was Lilith.
Okay. Was Lilith like? Did Lilith approach you, or did you approach Lilith?
I looking back, I think she approached me more. I've had like a lot of like kind of emotional things that I don't really want to discuss too much, but I had like a lot of things that would make her reach out to me. I feel like as somebody who is queer, like I feel like that made her more comfortable for me to work with her because a lot of men uh like her because she's a succubus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but they like her because they want to shoot their shot with her. Yeah.
I always think that's so
I
weird.
mean, I mean,
Why
I
would
mean
you
that,
want
that
to do
I mean,
that?
not gonna lie. Like, I have this Gremory sigil for like kind of like women purposes, but it's not to get with the
Nothing wrong
actual
with that.
spirit. What?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but it's like I'm not trying to get with the actual spirit themselves. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
trying to
think
like
that stuff's
fetish.
kind of like,
That's fucking weird, bro.
no,
Like yo, what the hell? Like, bro, like
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm just making sigils throughout this year to like commemorate certain things. I have a Venus sigil for when Venus goes into Aries. I have a what's it called? A sigil for a certain like abstinence streak I'm going on. Like
Oh,
I have all
yeah.
these different sigils that
Brahmacharya.
yeah, kind of brahmacharya type shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I'm trying to get on the brahmachari path.
Yeah, it's difficult, man.
It is freaking difficult.
Yeah, yeah, but guess what, bro? Guess what? Finding that threefold yantra, mantra, and tantra to like kind of like
Yeah, you have to
redirect
put
it,
your energy out. Like,
replace it, replace the habit, right? Don't
yeah,
eliminate it, replace it, right? Replace it.
you have to find a way to like get your energy
Don't,
out.
you don't want to starve the ego. What you want to do is to give the ego something else to eat. That's
Right,
all.
right.
You don't necessarily want to starve the ego all the time. You just want to give the ego something better to eat because it's been eating poison. The issue isn't the ego. I want to segue into that actually. What has been your experiences with like the New Age community because I in recent times have distanced
Oh,
myself from the New Age community and
yeah,
like
man. I was a New Ager when I first started my spiritual journey. I'm sure a lot of people like have fallen into that when they first start. Like for me, like I used to go to a Unitarian church, and the first time I walked in there, it was all about like love and light. And I was working with the Goisha at the time, like I said, and I was really just like, man, how can you just be love and light? Like I feel like there is a certain degree where it okay, I probably shouldn't say this, but I feel like some new age is aligned with like narcissism a little bit, like covert
toxic
narcissism.
positivity.
Yeah, because it's all focused on, oh, this is my trauma. I don't really care what other people like. I know people where it's like they only care if you offend them. They could give a damn less if they hurt you. It's all about their trauma, and that's like their excuse. But like I have my uncle. He's a new ager, and he is awesome. He's amazing. There are some people I feel like that can integrate the shadow, but I feel like when you just start in the new age, like a lot of it is ignoring the shadow from my experience and just focusing on everything is love, everything is light, and that's what really bugs me about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of focuses too much on like love and light and not knowing where the love and light actually is. Sometimes the most brightest light is in the darkest places.
Right,
And they're
right.
afraid to like admit that because it ruins their whole like no everything is and they're kind of right to a certain degree like you know what I'm saying everything is love and light but like you know we came here to experience duality, right? And even though
Yeah,
duality may be an illusion to a certain degree, that doesn't mean it's not real. It just means it's not what it seems, right?
right,
So
right.
like um here how long are we into this podcast? 41 minutes. Wow. Hasn't even been an hour, bro. But this is like a
Wow.
yeah, sick, right? I feel like it's
Yeah.
been like 2 hours, but it's only been like 41 minutes. Yo, that's sick. I like that. You're good vibes,
I
bro. You're good
yeah, I
vibes.
don't know how long I can stay in here for because I do have to get back to work. But
Okay. How about we cut out at it's 10:37 right now. How about we cut out at 10:50? We'll go an hour.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
All right, bet. So for the last I want to say 13 minutes, which is my favorite number because I get the death card a lot.
Lucky number.
Yeah, yeah, I get the death card a lot, so I've gone accustomed to liking that number.
Yeah, I get in the
Uh,
tower a lot.
you get the tower? Wow,
The
I almost never
tower,
get the
and
tower. I almost never get the tower. That's the funny thing
I
about
get the
that.
tower so many times, and I'm sick of it, man.
What's your Mars placement?
I I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you at the top. I have a lot of Mercury in my chart, but the best astrologer, from my experience, the best astrologer doesn't give away their signs, if that makes sense.
Really? Okay. I mean, I'm not a horror.
Because
Okay, we could probably get into a conversation about that in the last 10 minutes or so.
if you
Uh,
give somebody, you have to be really trust. You have to really trust who you give your birth time and stuff. Because if somebody is a if somebody turns against you, they can see all your weaknesses in your birth chart, and they can, you know what I mean.
I see. That's an
That's why you
interesting
gotta be
take.
secretive about it.
That's an interesting fourth mystery of the Sphinx type shit.
What?
Oh, only the crowd will get that joke I just made.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have alchemized so many like curses that have been my way. Like
Oh my
I
God.
I have to alchemize constantly, man. Constantly.
Holy.
I have some really trashy exes that I'm constantly like alchemy, alchemy, alchemy.
I get what you're saying. What's it called? So we can probably spend the last 10 minutes talking about our relationships with astrology then, because for me, I'm an archetypal planetary magician, and I also use what's it called the archetypal and planetary magic astrology, and
Yeah.
that could harp on horoscopes and natal charts, but I try to veer off from that. So it seems to me that you're into like more of the horary and natal astrology, which is cool because most people
Yeah.
are, right? So it's
I
like
um I did planetary magic like for a week. like a couple years
Like
ago.
like the
Man,
Picatrix?
oh what?
Like the Picatrix?
I don't know. I used a Magic Square. I don't know what a Picatrix
Oh, the
is.
Magitrix, Magic Square. Yeah, I have the Magic Squares. Yeah.
Man, that was intense. That was so intense. Like, I do more grounding work now just because, like, I was telling you, like, I went to yoga school when I was 18, and they said your upper chakras are like the most active, and you kind of need to ground yourself. So I do
Mm.
like more grounding magic. I don't really like very earth based, like shaman. I I
Okay.
I don't really rock with the magic squares too much anymore, and that's kind of why I veered away from like heavy magic like the Goetia.
Oh wow.
I do like a lot
You
of
you
earth.
definitely would not like the Shamsa Ma'arif then, because the
Oh
Shamsa
no, I
Ma'arif
could
is.
not. My nervous system has been through too much, man.
Oh damn, dude. Yo, me and my friends are doing a workshop on the Shamsa Ma'arif
Oh
actually.
man,
Yeah, bro.
I feel like even the name carries a lot of energy,
Oh
man.
my god, really? Yo, you're one of those people who like surrounded with juju, bro?
I don't know. I've heard some things about it, but you do you, man.
Everyone hears stuff about it, but does that mean it's true? Like, you know what I'm
I
saying?
wouldn't touch that book with the 10-foot pole.
Wow, that's remarkable. That's remarkable. I like how you inherited the legend, the folk tale that surrounds that book. I always know I own the copy of the Shams al Ma'arif. I made a Islamic polemical video against Orthodox Islam on the Shams al Ma'arif, and
Oh man.
yeah, yeah. It's a really impressive text. I just made a sigil out of it recently, and it's been working
Ooh.
very well for me. The life and death numbers. That's what I.
Yeah, I don't think I could really work with Jin. I don't think that's my vibe.
No, there's no gin in the Shams of Marif though.
Oh,
That's the
I
thing. Yeah, that's what I'm
man,
saying, bro. That's what I'm
man, I've been
saying.
indoctrinated, man.
Yeah, bro. Like at least in the one I have, there's no real like signs of gin working in there. It's all white magic, bro.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. There,
Really?
very little gin working in there. I had to like look through it like 3 times to be like, where the fuck is the? I didn't care. I don't work
I'm
with
gonna have to
gins.
look into that a bit more, man. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, bro.
I've
The
always
big
heard
cheese
it
of it, the big cheese of it is talismans made out of the 99 names of Allah.
okay, I'll have to check that out. That's interesting. Because I've always
Yo,
heard it's just
give me. Yeah, how about this? I'll do you one good, bro. Cause you can't find any good English translations of it and stuff like that. Unfortunately, what I recommend is give me one of your favorite 99 names of Allah, and I will give you the Shamsa Marif sigil dedicated
okay.
to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. All you have to do to activate it is just say the divine name over it, and boom, it. Pew, pew 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 pew.
I use Arahim a lot.
Arahim? Yeah, I know the Arahim talisman, bro. I'll make that for
That,
you.
and that's
It's,
sick.
yeah, bro. I want to be a good resource for you, man, because I understand that you're a little bit green in this Islamic occult space, and me having dipped their toes in, have been seriously practicing for like 3 years, wants to ultimately wants what's best for somebody who
Yeah, appreciate it.
wants to
What
be
do you mean by green? I haven't heard that term.
like new, like green as grass.
Okay, I see. I see.
Yeah, green as grass. Like it means like someone greeny. Although green can be used, I've heard some dude from Louisiana use green as in a derogatory term. I don't mean it like that. You know what I'm saying I mean it in like a, you're fresh into the game.
Okay.
You're a young, impressionable mind, even though you're a year older than me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got some. Yeah, we spent the last 5 minutes talking about that. One passionate sermon I like to go into for people my age is like, now as Gen Z, we are no longer the new kids on the block. We
Yeah.
are now the middle children to a certain degree. We're like
Okay.
big bro. We're like big bro, right? We're not like the new faces like Gen Alpha, but at the same time we're not like, we haven't really been around like the millennials and Gen X have. We're about in the middle, right? So
Yeah.
I and have how have you, like, would you agree with that?
We're in the middle of the generation.
At this point in history, yeah.
I've always kind of seen like our generation more as like leaders in a sense.
Yeah, and part of that is being the middle generation, because even the older
I feel
will
like
admire us.
we're leading the younger generation, but at the same time, we're trying to relearn because the generation ahead of us, not the millennials, but like the generation ahead, I feel like
A Gen
has
X.
yeah, I feel like Gen X has kind of done things that we're trying to correct, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I think it's a process of relearning but leading.
Hell yeah, bro. What do you think is the last question, and we will do the outro. What do you think is the most important, like, kind of, like, approach to, like, leading this new generation? You know what I'm saying? Because I myself want to create something that's everlasting. Create something that is
Yeah,
something that people from who are in a position similar to me, who want
I feel like
a middle ground between Islamic esotericism and Islamic orthodoxy. Like, somebody who wants a good middle ground. Like, where they can they go, and we want to build a place for those people,
the
right? So
biggest thing I've struggled with that I will say that I feel like would help people is humility, constantly praying against the nafs because if you don't have humility, you're gonna screw yourself up and you have so much to learn. When you realize you know nothing, you have a world to learn. But
yeah.
if your nafs are too active, your ego, then you're not gonna grow, if that makes sense. So humility is a big key in my life. Well, at least I try. I always say I'm the
Okay.
most. I always say as a joke, I'm the most humble and person I know.
That's funny, yeah. Are you familiar with the last thing I'll leave you off with a little nugget of knowledge. Have you heard of the three levels of the nafs?
I'm not too familiar with it. I'm aware that there's like levels to the nafs, and I've tried doing research about like the heart with the kalb. Is that what it's
The
called?
qalb? Yeah. Yeah. That's where, like, the chakras come more into play, is the qalb. But the nafs basically talks about like Imam Ghazali, which I don't really like Imam Ghazali, but Imam Ghazali has some good esoteric, like, branches from the Quran. He
Yeah.
had the three levels of the nafs, and these are actually even mentioned in the Quran. The nafs al amara, which is the inciting nafs. The nafs al luama, which is the struggling nafs, and then the nafs al mutmaina, which is the nafs at peace. So these
Okay.
three levels of the nafs, I made a book about this on Amazon too, on Kabbalistic Sufism.
You have
Uh,
to send me that. I want to check that out.
Hell yeah, bro! If you get a physical copy of it, that would mean a lot to me.
Okay.
Yeah, but the nafsal amara is like the nefek, and Judaism, where the
Yeah.
nefek is like the animal spirit, or like the craving spirit, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the nafsal luama is like the ruach, which is like the mediary spirit between the nefek, and then the neshima. The neshima, or the neshama, or the neshima, is the divine spirit, and that's more associated with nafs al mutmaina and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, so because I noticed something you said, that you said you want to pray against the nafs. You don't necessarily want to pray against the nafs. What you want to do is you want to pray for, and you want to transmute the nafs into the nafs al mutmaina. If the nafs is the
Yeah.
issue, that means that you're living the nafs al amara, right? The nafs al mutmaina, once we live in there, we can basically kind of we can, like, maneuver through life a little bit better. So,
Yeah. That makes sense.
anyways, guys, it's 10:50 now. I promised I was gonna leave at this point, but thank you guys so much for
Yeah. Thank you for
watching.
having me on, Kenny. I
Of
really appreciate
course,
it.
man. Of
And
course.
we'll keep in touch and all that.
Yeah.
So
Do you want to plug your social medias at the end? Do you want to
yeah,
like
yeah.
do the little shout outs to yourself?
Honestly, I haven't had lunch yet, and I can't think. I don't even know my TikTok name. I just created a new one, so you're welcome to link it down below, Kenny. I really appreciate everybody that's taking the time out to watch. Yeah, I love you all. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for watching. Yo.